Hi, my name is Richard Mendez, and this is part two of my presentation. This one is going to be focused more on incorporating digital storytelling, and particularly into a course such as mine in art for high school. Um, so I reviewed some of the different uh, practices that I could use to implement into my classes, and I found two that I feel are really strong and would not only be easily added into my curriculum, but I feel like the students at that age level in high school would be a little more uh, enthused to do. And so the first one I found is actually a video biographies. And this is great for any, I can see it going for any course, any subject, history, science, but particularly for art, and I'm going to use an example as photography. I would have them do this on, they would do biographies on famous photographers. And what I like to do as a teacher is I like to teach the historical photographers because I feel like as a student, it's hard to relate to those. And when you do research on them, you're not as engaged because it's not modern and it's not what you're used to seeing, and especially in this day and era with the um, more digital photography coming out and Photoshop, it's hard for students to relate to black and white images. So I like to go over the older versions, the historical photographers and their work, and then and this assignment, have the students look up modern day photographers that they can relate to and maybe have more of a connection and feel more enthused to do research on. So the plan for this would be it would take, the first thing is it would take the equipment would be needed would be a video camera or some sort of recording device. Perhaps if they have Chromebooks that allow them to record, that would be perfect. Um, Otherwise, it would have to go into a presentation, and the videos would have to then be acted out up in front of everybody. But if there is a camera or some sort of recording device, the students can then easily upload all of their work and record it with no problem. So the first part of this would be to have the students research a photographer. I would start off by giving them a list to go off of. If they found one that they would like to do it on, they could then do it on that. And this would be done in small groups, 3 to 4 at the most, and it could easily be done individually as well. But if you want to do groups, it'd be 3 to 4, and then I would assign the research for each group. So each person would have to find a information on a part of the photographer's life. So either be when they're born, in the middle, sometimes schooling, some young schooling, and then the later half, which would be for those who are a little older, it would be college or some sort of middle of their work, photography, and then the last one would be recent. And depending on, like I said, if it's 3 to 4, that would shift group members. But I would make sure that all of them get that, and then, as I mentioned, some sort of graphic that goes along with it. And then I would have the students then present on that portion that they were assigned. Now, it would be up to the students how they want to lay this out in a video recording, because some students may want to start off with the photographer's birth and the city they grew up in, and others may want to start off with talking about the photographer themselves and then move on down back and trace back to where they came from. I am more open to this. As an art teacher, I feel like students should be able to express themselves in any way they'd like. Another thing is some students may actually want to be the photographer, so be interviewed, and that would be another way that they can benefit from this. So they can actually uh, be as if they were being interviewed as a photographer and telling their life story, and within that showing different pieces of their artwork. And I think this is another way of, taking the requirements and then putting it in the students their own version. And I'm open to all different types, so I would definitely give students examples of that. And then from there, I would allow the students, we'd actually have a day where we'd watch the different biographies. Or what I thought I would do is actually every day start the class with a video biography, so that every day the students are used to coming in and watching a video and then becoming more engaged in class. And hopefully what would really work is if that I could tie in the photographer with the lesson that we're going to do that day. So it's a way for the students to see themselves as part of the curriculum, and also a way for them to learn through their peers. So I love this idea, and I think it would be very beneficial for my class. The second practice that I found great was actually storytelling. So photographers do this a lot, and I've gone over this in class, where one image can tell a story, and some photographers actually create a story series, where there's a series of 5 photographs that go together to create a storyline. And I love this, and so what I'm thinking, it would be great if the students would be able to reproduce this. So what I would do is get students into groups, and start off with them learning this process by assigning them themes before I give them their own chance to go out and make their own theme. And so what I would do is get them in the groups by having them draw out of a hat different themes that they need to portray in a series of photographs. And this is what would take it to the next level. It's more of a photo 2 lesson, where the kids have more learning on this, have more experience with it. It would be to have the students work together, take photographs, edit them, and then arrange them in an order that they see fit. And the students, if they're working in groups, would then have the chance to be an editor, have the chance to be the photographer. Each student would have to submit one in the group to be part of their series. So each one will have their own photograph in that series. And then it gives them a chance to see the background on how much work is put into slicing the photographs so that they are portraying the same image, portraying the same story. And so what I would do from there is have the students turn them in, and then we would review it as a class in a critique setting, and go over for each group what their process in creating this series and the meaning behind their stories. And what I would get is, what I'd hope to get from out of this is students engaging with others and learning processes that they use as with their group members to produce these series. And then from there, the students would then have their own individual assignment to turn in, where it would be their own storyline. But they would get this practice with their group members on an assigned theme prior to that. So this is a great practice that I feel like I could easily implement, and I'm planning on working with the teacher that I'm working with now, and maybe putting it into one of their lessons up and coming. So thank you.